something a little different for me and the videos then. So normally I'm doing Rover V8 vehicle related videos. However, I've got a few little machines in my shed. I've got this Boxford Model A and CNC mill. So decided to do a bit of a reconditioning on this lathe. I've only just recently purchased it. As for the CNC mill, that's not working at the moment either, so I have to do a little bit of work on that. So this video though, just be the intro and tell you where I'm at with this. As you can see, I've already sort of started some work. So yeah, bought this just a couple of weeks back. It's a 4.5-inch Boxford precision lathe Model A. Unfortunately, serial number and bed length are not present. Obviously bed length is fairly easy, it's from there to there. Without a tape measure, we'll have to do it again, it's from there to there. In my research, big shout out to the Boxford Lathe Club on Facebook. I'll put a link down to that in the description if I remember. I bought some paint. This is the wrong blue. It should have been sort of a grey in colour. Obviously it's been repainted at some point, and there is evidence of that on here as well. You can see the grey underneath the blue. So yep, that's good to know. We'll know the colour. It's not the right stand for this lathe, so I'll need to make some levelling feet for the stand, and also then figure out a way of doing levelling feet for the actual lathe onto the table. At the moment it's just bolted onto these metal plates and then they're bolted down to the table. However, I want to get into a little bit of the rebuild first before I do what I class as the boring bit but essential, which is levelling everything off. Things I've noticed so far, the first gear on here does not work. It doesn't pick up the drive, so I need to strip this box down at some point and investigate that. Everything looks reasonable behind this cover, so needs a good clean though, and a re-grease or oil depending on what I determine or what I find out is best to use on there. It's an imperial lathe, so it's got threading. Got the half nuts on here for threading and the thread counter, which is nice. I want to do a bit of threading just to improve my lathe skills. I also, however, want to be able to do metric. So reading through the manual I've got, I believe there are certain options on here combined with gear ratios that I should actually have or be available, which will allow metric threading. On the Boxford Owners Club, someone's also pointed me in the direction of changing this gear hair for one that's a double, so 127 gears hair and 100 gears hair. That gives you the correct ratio for the metric thread cutting. Again though, you still got to find your right gear selectors on here for the pitch you want. Obviously I could do that and then make a note of them, etc. So I'm going to have a play about here though before ordering special gears and things. The reason I've got this stripped down, this is going to be kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back part of the video. I got carried away investigating where my free play was on the compound and also on the cross slide. So I've done some investigative work there, and also asked some questions on the Facebook group, which everyone's been really helpful for. So let me show you what I've found. But first of all, before we do that, I'm going to reassemble it and actually measure the backlash, which I haven't done previously. Other thing I should point out is it's not on its original motor. So I've got the cam driven bar here. So this bar here, you turn this, it drives a cam, allows for this belt to be easily changed in position. However, this one, I think originally from looking in the manual, there was another lever down here which brought the motor in and out on a cam, so you could adjust this. I've got it set on the faster of the two settings, and this is being driven off a VFD anyway because I'm on 240 volt here and it's a 3-phase motor, 415 volt, 3 phases. I'm on 240 volt single phase, so VFD, looking at the gear ratios on here, the difference between belt position 1 and belt position 2, if for example we were in this gear here, belt position 1 would give 200 RPM, belt position 2 would give 400. So if I'm in belt position 2, which would give 400, I can simply go from 50 Hertz down to 25 Hertz. It should give me half the motor speed, which will put me back down to here, so I don't actually need to play around with jumping this belt, which is quite a handy thing. So let me reassemble this and show you the backlash that I've currently got and why that is. So I'm all reassembled. What we've got going on here, I have thousandths of an inch on this dial here on the cross slide. My gauge here is in metric because why not use two different measurements in one sentence? Hey, one full rotation needle on here is 1 millimeter. So each division, or each division is 0.01. But if you look at the 10 here, if you can see on the screen, I don't know that until I edit this video, but 0.1 of a millimeter is 4 thou, give or take. I think it's like 3.9 something something something. Anyway, we'll call it 4 thou just for simplicity. So I'm just gonna, if I bring the cross slide back, if I bring this round to the 0 mark, like that, I'm also 0 on my dial on the cross slide as well. So now if I push the cross slide forward, you'll see I have 0.93 millimeter of free play, a lot more than I should have. Doesn't quite go back to the same position because I haven't wound it, but you know, we're 0.95 millimeters. So what's interesting as well, it tallies up, because if I come back on the cross slide to the 0 marks, so 0 on the DTI and 0 on the cross feed, 0.95 would be, in millimeters, would be about 38 thou. So if I move this back, the needle should start moving when I hit 38 thou. So that's 10 thou, that's 20, that's 30. So I'm now watching the needle on the DTI, it's 35. And the needle's moved and I'm at 39. So we've actually moved just over about half a thou there. So that all equates to the free play that I've got on the cross slide. So hopefully we can improve on that. Now let's look at the compound. Okay, on the compound then, same gauge, metric, imperial on the lead screw. So zeroed off. Let's wind this back and just go down to 0 again. So 0 there. You have to excuse the light change. I've got a head torch just so I can do this. So 0 on the lead screw. I will be fitting a light above the lathe, but right now, you know, it's on the list. So here we go for free play. We've got almost a millimeter again. In fact, very similar reading to before. And if I come to 0, come to the lead screw here, I can get, so it's 10, 20, 30 thou, 35 thou. Needle's now moving at 37 thou. So that equates as well. What's also interesting, I know I've got free play on the shaft up here. In fact, you can see it, but if I come back down to 0 and where to put the Allen key? There it is. So if I set this differently, how did I do it last time? I actually managed to reduce the free play. So we'll come back into 0. So we're into 0 there. Let's turn the head torch off. So now I've actually only got just over 0.4 millimeters because I've taken up some of the slack here. So lots to work on there. Yeah, let me show you where the wear is. So the reason for the backlash, I'm sure most people have probably figured this out already. is, well, I believe, free play on the lead screw and between the lead screw and the nut. So there is a little bit on here. The compound slide is much the same as this. So it looks to me like somebody's already had a go remaking this nut or repurposing it, because there's definitely, I'll show you in a second, well I can show you now, two different types of materials going on here. Looks like someone maybe has brazed on some material on the bottom here and then recut the threads. I intend on making a new one of these. So the other reason I have a lot of free play on the cross slide, at least, if I just unscrew this and grab this part. So this feed is translated into motion on the cross slide by the nut passing into here, and as you can see it's a very sloppy fit as well, so that's going to lead to additional free play. Now thankfully the nut where it goes through onto the compound is a far better fit in there, but regardless of that I'm remaking the whole part. I do need to just make sure there isn't any wear in this hole, make sure that's not tapered, etc. I would imagine though the wear is on this, and I guess at some point maybe whoever recut these threads didn't quite get them square, because it looks like this has been filed at some point, probably to get it to fit in here and not lock up and bind. If this nut wasn't square, potentially that would have happened. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I still don't quite know what this screw is for in here, so I have asked on the Boxford forum on Facebook, but no one's actually got back to me, and I can't find it mentioned in the manual. So anybody that knows, please comment and let me know. It's either a very crude way of locking the cross slide. So do the nut up, it locks on the thread, cross slide can't move. I don't like that idea, because there's going to still be a little bit of free play on the cross slide where the lead screw moves in its housing, but also it just sounds awful to lock something up on the actual thread itself. So that got me thinking maybe it's an adjuster for free play. Again, seems quite crude. I've seen people making lead screw nuts where they put a slot in here and then a thread and a little screw to close this gap up, which would then adjust any free play. My thoughts are, well, first of all, wait and see what everybody comments as to what this screw is actually for, but also I'm contemplating making this nut longer in one direction. I can't make it any longer on this side because it will hit here and limit travel. However, this way I don't think it's going to cause a problem in being a bit longer, and having more thread engagement with the lead screw should help me. I think the lead screw is worn in its most used position, but if I have the nut longer, that should help with that. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. I'll probably conclude this video here. It's probably already too long, so next video hopefully materials will be here, tooling will be here, and I can attempt to make these two nuts. The other one is here. Much simpler affair. Again, no adjustment for free play, but I'm hopeful that a new thread in there will assist me. If not, then maybe I'll look at making it longer. I don't think on the compound I can make it longer. There isn't the space to do so without limiting travel, and I don't want to limit travel. So essentially we'll just see if we can get this better. Anything on the cross slide will be better. Right, so in the next video, I don't know when that'll be, but we'll see where we go.